All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, I want to speak to you specifically about the Hurricane Helene response by the Biden-Harris administration. It's been a complete and utter disaster. It required Elon Musk bringing in his equipment from Starlink in order to get communications going. He communicated with both Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave a shout out to him basically, and Starlink and their equipment, or Elon Musk's equipment from Starlink, was there. I think Trump said within 45 minutes, and then within 24 hours, communications were flowing much better in some of the areas impacted. I believe this was in the Asheville, North Carolina area. Let me frame it this way. Let me start here. I was literally going back and forth. I just got to be honest with you guys, right? And it's not like I'm dishonest with you, but I was going back and forth with my producer Gabe here, and I'm struggling with the response of the Biden-Harris administration on this particular issue, or with this particular issue. So I've got to just ask questions, maybe pose them to you, and think through them myself. If I'm being honest. I'm looking at the devastation. I'm looking at the response. I look at the fact that the areas impacted by this storm that are decimated. They are decimated. We'll show some video to you a little later. They are decimated. The vast majority of people in those areas and in the states affected vote Republican. I can't help but to wonder if there's something nefarious going on. Obviously, Biden and Harris aren't God. They didn't bring a storm. They didn't know how bad it was going to be. But the response is so disastrous, I have to question, is this nefarious or is this incompetence? And the more I read, the more confused I am. I'm just being honest, because there's some conservatives out there that are like, this is just nefarious. This is corrupt. There's some out there that are saying this is incompetent. This is me saying, something doesn't smell right, but I don't know. But I can't help but to start shifting towards something is happening here that isn't right. $1 billion. Listen to this. $1 billion of your hard-earned money that was allocated to FEMA for disaster relief has been used to ship illegal aliens all over this freaking country and pay for their benefits. I don't blame illegal aliens for coming here when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden says the doors are wide open to the greatest country that God has ever built. But what I do blame Biden and Harris for is taking money from American citizens to give the money to people who do not deserve it and give them benefits that they're not giving our own citizens. $750. I don't even think we got that clip, Gabe. $750 Kamala Harris offered to the victims of Hurricane Helene. It's part of me, if I'm just being honest, I'm asking this question. Is this revenge? Is this revenge for Hurricane Katrina? Carl, you're conspiracy. No, I'm just asking. Carl, people can't be this evil. They can't? Really? When you're godless, you can't? You're talking about people that are willing to murder innocent babies. What about people that they consider, racist and xenophobic, colonialists? $1 billion of your hard-earned money given to illegal aliens so that they can live high on the hog inside of the United States after they broke into the country. But you get offered $750 when you're in a disaster area. And the videos that are coming in, people are saying the videos aren't doing it justice. I heard one gentleman say, this is apocalyptic. Apocalyptic. Is this revenge? I'm starting to wonder. Is the response of screw you to white Americans in the Appalachian areas from the Biden-Harris administration? Is it just incompetence? I Either way, it sucks for the Americans and these. And listen, this storm was so big. People are comparing it to Katrina. Listen, I think this is going to be far worse than Katrina in the end. I'm sad to say, and Katrina was a disaster, no doubt about it. But I think this is going to be far worse. And I really believe the only reason that narrative exists is because a lot of blacks and minorities were involved in Katrina, and it was a horrible situation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing it, but I think the Democrats need that narrative to continue. This is going to be far worse, in my opinion. You've got neighbors, you've got people popping up in videos saying, I heard one lady say today, I don't know where my neighbors are. Their area was wiped clean. I don't know where my neighbors are. I don't know where my friends are. I wonder if there's some people on the left out there that are sitting here and watching the aftermath, or perhaps ignoring the aftermath, maybe in some of these elite media institutions, and saying, well, they got what they deserve. These are the white people, they're basically colonialists, they're basically racist, they're xenophobes, they're homophobes, they're just getting what they deserve. I really believe, see, people, this is the frustrating thing, even with some within the conservative movement. We don't want to believe that people can be evil. It's one of the reasons why I don't like when people, I don't care if they're conservatives or Democrats, I don't like when people call other people monsters. Whether they're rapists or serial killers or whatever they are. But Carl, they are monsters. No, they're not. They're human beings that are absolutely and utterly depraved and evil. And I really think that oftentimes what human beings will do, whether no matter what political aisle you fall on, or you stand with, you'll use that term monster because in your head, you want to believe that this is a rarity, that somebody like this is a rarity. I don't believe that. I believe that people are mostly evil. I know that's hard for some of you guys to hear, but that is the truth. You don't have to learn to be selfish when you're a baby. You have to be corrected. But if you're never corrected, and if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in a higher authority, then maybe you just roll with your own depraved mind. And who knows how far that depraved mind will go. I do believe that the Biden-Harris administration are completely incompetent. I don't think they knew what to do. I don't think they knew how bad this was. But I also believe that many people within that administration, including Biden and Harris, are so evil that they might say, wait a minute. These people vote mostly Republican. It's not that I want them to die. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that evil. But if they miss out on voting and it helps us a little bit, they'll be okay. I'm just wondering. The response has been so abysmal. It is. I can't even find a word to describe it. It's either, I suspect, complete and utter incompetence or complete and utter evil. I'm not sure there's a gray area. Listen to FEMA's goals. As you continue to marinate on the fact that FEMA has run out of money, Mayorkas is asking for money when he said FEMA would be prepared, because the Biden-Kamala Harris administration has been using your money to fund services for illegal aliens that they've brought into the country. But now when you have states like Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, the Carolinas impacted, I believe there's another, forgive me. No money. Plenty of money for wars, plenty of money for illegal aliens and their services and housing illegal aliens that they're bringing into the country by millions. Why? Why? Is it because these illegal aliens they're willing to give their homies more? They're homie, Carl. What do you mean are they willing to give the people that they suspect will vote for them more, but the people that actually paid the freaking bill less? This is unbelievable. Listen to FEMA's goals. The goals of FEMA. the goals of FEMA. A government organization that is meant for disaster relief, right? You want to know what their goals are? What FEMA's goals are? Let me find this. The Federal Emergency Management Agency. Federal Emergency Management Agency. Tell me if you believe you would have ever thought that the goals of the Federal Emergency Management Agency would be instilling, quote, equity as a foundation of emergency management. Okay, so that's one goal. The second goal, leading whole of community in climate resilience. Federal Emergency Management Agency. I'm not sure. Here's another thing. FEMA allocated nearly 360. This is where the money went. I'm reading from the Federalist. FEMA allocated nearly $364 million in 2023, another $650 million for the 2024 fiscal year. For the Shelter and Services Program, quote unquote, to provide humanitarian services to non-citizen migrants. That's code for illegal aliens. All right. Following their release from the Department of Homeland Security. This is covered according to the government's own website. So you can click on the link. You can go to the government's own website. All of the information is there. The program is run in cooperation with the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol to support CBP and the safe, orderly, and humane release of non-citizen migrants from short-term holding facilities. So for those of you that are suffering like crazy, you're wondering where FEMA is. Oh, FEMA is doing their new job. FEMA has a new vision. It's just not you. It's not people that are in disaster-torn territories anymore. Now the goals are instilling equity as a foundation of emergency management. And if it is FEMA's goal, let me ask you: if it is FEMA's goal, I think this is an indictment. Frankly, I don't think this is a vision. I think this is an indictment. If this is FEMA's goal to instill equity as a foundation of emergency management, what is equity? What is equity? It's not equality. Could it be that during disaster reliefs like this, FEMA would use the opportunity, especially in your predominantly white areas? I mean, kill the whitey, right? Take their money and give it to the people with darker skin coming into the country illegally. Is it okay to talk like that? Because I think we all know that's the truth. I don't know. And I'm not saying that everybody associated with the Biden-Harris administration believes this, but I got some questions. But I am starting to wonder. Leading the whole of community in climate resilience. Isn't it amazing when you think about it? The left always talks about, it's man-made global warming, it's man-made climate change, whatever, whatever the new term of the day is. But it would seem that if they've been using so much money to fight climate change for decades now, shouldn't it have an impact? Yeah, it's never going to, because we all know what the truth is, and frankly, I believe they do as well. You know what disasters normally do too? Disasters normally unite Americans. You think about that. Disasters normally unite Americans. I think, Gabe, you said that briefly in my ear. Maybe it was Betsy that said it, but I believe one of you said it, and I'm like, man, it's so true. I can recall. I live in Florida. I've been through plenty of hurricanes at this point in time, myself and my family. And you know what the craziest thing is? You go through the storm, trees down. I remember Hurricane Charlie, and do you remember all those storms that hit? One after the other, Gabe. It was like Hurricane Charlie, Hurricane. It was like 2 or 3 back to back, and in 2004. Thank you. It back to back. So we walked outside. We walked outside of our home. Literally, there were trees down. I mean, huge oak trees just down in the street. Cars couldn't even get out from where we were. There were 2 massive trees. We lived in a community at the time that had like a community lake, if you will. And please, it wasn't fancy. We didn't live on the side or on the lake where we could afford those homes, but at least we got to live where we could walk by it and see it. And it was really cool. And these massive trees that just stood like right in front of this dock that they had built. We literally walked around the block to survey the area. And I was like, man, it looks so open. And then it hit me. Those 2 massive trees were gone, swallowed up somewhere in the lake. They were gone. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. But you know what was so cool? You could look down the street. You could look at both ends, and you just saw neighbors helping neighbors. And I could tell you where I lived. I knew who the libs were. I knew who the conservative. It didn't matter. Everybody was out helping everybody, talking to everybody. That's what happens all the time in the state of Florida, and I'm sure in any one of these states where you experience these type of hurricanes. And I almost think that part of the non-reporting on this by the major news networks or the state news networks isn't just that they don't want Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to look bad, because they should. They've been an absolute disaster, but they don't want to find reasons to unite Americans. Democrats and the left, they want us to be divided, because that's the only way they win. If we're being honest, if we're being real, that's the only way that they win. Let's run through some videos. We'll run the gamut. But I want you to understand, FEMA's goal is now to instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. And if it's their goal to instill equity, who would they have to take wealth from? Who would they have to take opportunity from? I think some conservatives out there, listen, I know there's a lot of people that get caught up in conspiracy theory, and sometimes conservatives don't want to be a part of that. I certainly don't. I don't like thinking the worst of people, but I know that there's good and evil that exists. And I know that people that don't fear the Lord, that don't fear God, have a propensity for evil. And I got to tell you what we've seen in politics in the last decade. I mean, you can, whether you like Trump or not, just look at the Russia collusion hoax, the Ukraine impeachment, the Jack Smith stuff. This stuff has been a completely hoax. The guy trying to get murdered. Politics has turned completely evil. And there's a reason. There's people on the left that are trying to divide us. They want to fundamentally transform America. And one of the ways to do that is, instead of uniting Americans, it's to divide Americans, so that all of these groups of people that they divide, they can say, hey, we're your champion. These people are not your friends. These people that will help you clean up after the storm. These people that'll rake the leaves with you. These people that'll, feed you food or coffee when the storms come and your refrigerator isn't working and your lights are. Those are your enemies. But the government, Uncle Sam, we're not your enemy. That's what the left wants to do. Gabe, let's just roll through some of these, and forgive me. Gabe has put a lot of video together. But I want to do this. This is Mayorkas. This is cut number 14, Gabe. Mayorkas said that FEMA is prepared for disasters such as this. Now, let me say this. This is the worst storm. I think this will be worse than Katrina. All right. This is the worst storm that I believe we've seen that's been recorded in over 150 years. I think that's what we're witnessing. But Mayorkas was prepared. At least FEMA was somewhat prepared. Now all of a sudden, they don't have money. So again, this could be complete incompetence. But I have to sit here and wonder, with a regime that's been so evil, a regime that will side with the Ayatollahs of Iran instead of with our ally Israel, and instead of with the people of Iran, What else would they do? What else would they do? Cut number 14, please, Gabe. Mayorkas says FEMA is prepared for these type of emergencies.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well.
So the communities, to the best of their ability, were, but they're totally decimated. And you see people helping out people. But now Mayorkas says that FEMA doesn't have enough funding for the hurricane season. They need more money. And the only reason they need more money is because they've been using your taxpayer. They've been redistributing your wealth. That's what they've been doing. I hope you get this, Gabe. They've been redistributing your wealth as taxpayers. The federal government under the Biden-Harris administration, along with Alejandro Mayorkas, they've been redistributing your wealth to the people they believe deserve it. And they don't believe you deserve it. They believe that you, as an American citizen, especially if you're a white male, white female, even conservative, they're going to redistribute your wealth. One of the ways to do it is to take your money and give it to the people they believe deserve it. And those are the people that are breaking into our country right now, most of whom happen to not be white. Let's play this. This is cut number 13. Although Alejandro Mayorkas said that FEMA would be prepared for such a time as this, here's what this gentleman says in cut number 13, Gabe. FEMA can't be found anywhere.
We're not getting the amount of support that we need.
We haven't seen FEMA. We haven't seen Red Cross. We haven't seen Hearts with Hands. We've seen no agencies come through here. Most people drive through with their cameras out, filming us like we're animals in a zoo, and don't stop.
How could the government do us like this? And how could the whole country just forget about us? Like, it's not enough. What is being done is not enough. I mean, there are entire communities that have been just decimated. Where is our government? I mean, for Kamala, and I am an avid supporter for her to stand in Florida today and make a statement. Where is our government?
Sources say over 1,000 troops in North Carolina.
Go ahead and stop that one. Go ahead and cut that one, Gabe. I'm gonna just be straight with you. Look at that guy, Gabe. Let's just be real. We're both men. When you heard that guy, did you think like I thought? I thought immediately he was a gay male that was a Kamala Harris supporter. I didn't. I thought that immediately. You can call it stereotyping. You can whatever. We're men. We're just Gabe is real. I'm real. I thought that immediately. They don't know who's being impacted by this storm. They see communities that vote mostly Republican. That isn't to say that most of the community is Republican. And it shouldn't matter regardless. They're human beings. They're fellow Americans. But because the left wants to win an election, they just say, screw you. And that's what's happening there in these devastated communities. Man, this stuff makes me so mad. I don't want to play this entire clip, Gabe, but cut number 15. I just want to play about a minute. I want you guys to just take a look at some of the overview of the devastation. Now, I want you to understand this. Let me put this into perspective. Gabe, you can go ahead and start rolling it, but just keep the volume down. Let's keep the volume down on this one, Gabe. Just let them see the picture. Make sure you're subscribing to the Carl Jackson Show. Make sure you follow us all things social media at the Carl Jackson Show. Make sure you check out the podcast, The Carl Jackson Show.com or at the Carl Jackson Show, wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. But this is just an overview of the decimation. I want you to understand, or I want you to try to fathom that you walk out of your house, your apartment, your condo, your townhome, wherever you may be, and everything is fine, everything is there, and everything is copacetic. You return, and there's nothing. There's nothing. Oh, and you can't even call the insurance agency because you know what? That place is wiped out too. You have no house, you have no car, you have no electricity, you have no clean water, you have no clean place to go take a crap, nothing. This is what these people are going through. And the agency that they pay their tax dollars to is more concerned about equity rather than saving American lives. This is Ashley Moody. This is cut number 12. This is our Attorney General with an appearance on Fox. Let's go ahead and roll that. She's ranting over this. And there should be outrage on this. The media wants you to believe that there's all types of big stories. Jack Smith is going after Trump again. And obviously this is an election interference thing and doing everything they can. Tim Walz had a horrible debate the other night. J.D. Vance kicked his butt. And so now they've got to come up with something else. This is the story. This is the story that people should be paying attention to, because quite frankly, it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is a humanitarian crisis. This is a people issue. This is a human issue. Cut number 12, please, Gabe.
Good morning, Todd. Yeah, everyone should be waking up this morning outraged by that comment. This is not something that has just happened recently, and Florida's been warning about this since this administration took over. Mayorkas has come in like a virus and infected these what need to be healthy, strong, fundamental programs to ensure the stability and safety of Americans in times of disaster. So you heard, they have taken the FEMA emergency food and shelter program and over time siphoned off hundreds of millions of dollars into basically making it an illegal immigrant resettlement program. And so when you see these states and cities around the nation declaring emergencies, even blue states, because of what this administration has done, encouraging more and more and more, developing programs to encourage more and more and more people to come here, the government, Biden and Harris, are having to fund that on the backs of the American people. And now, right now, in Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, all of these states are hurting because of this truly natural disaster, not a Biden-Harris-made disaster. They're saying we need more money. And of course they need more money because they've been laundering it from the true intended purpose of this fund that Congress set forth. Laws be damned.
There's two things going on here. We just touched upon the main thing, this horrific prioritization of migrants over American taxpayers. But there's also something else here. What does this say about the Biden-Harris administration's ability to just lead? If they underfunded FEMA this much, and we are not even close to being in the heart of hurricane season, which in reality is August, September, October, and November, A.G. Moody.
Look, this is what President Trump did so well while in office. He could get to a 30,000-foot level, look at the health of American agencies and programs, determine what the problems were, and enlist resources, talented individuals, and a strategy to put Americans and the safety and strength of this nation first. I've seen it work here in Florida with Governor DeSantis. We decide where our problems are, we set forth to fix them, and we make sure not only money, but the strategy and talented personnel are in place to fix them. So, for example, when you have a disaster like this, and when there's no electricity, instability, when there's people needing just the basics of life because of a disaster. I was with officers the other night, and we surged our resources in vulnerable areas to looting. We made sure officers knew what to look for when it was in complete darkness. Right. They knew what to charge. We make sure our state attorneys know to hold these people so they don't get back out and start ravaging these communities again. It takes proactive efforts, and you just do not see this out of this administration. And here in the roosters of coming home to roost, look at what's happening right now.
All right, the Florida model.
We're in the middle of a disaster with this administration.
Let's cut it there. But yeah, I mean, you get the picture. That's Ashley Moody. Governor DeSantis, honestly, I'm going to talk about this in a later podcast. Governor DeSantis is he's got to be ranked one of the best. And I don't say this to be kiss butt, but I think it's true. I suspect it's true. I've not researched this. Honestly, this guy's got to be one of the greatest governors of all time. Seriously. today, one of the things that happened with Governor DeSantis, the dock worker strike is over. Apparently, they come to some type of agreement. I didn't even know, because the last time I had listened or read or seen anything on my phone, it was Governor DeSantis talking about that he was going to deploy the National Guard to work our docks so that Floridians, especially with the impact of Hurricane Helene and all that those people are suffering through that are, I'm in Central Florida, so thank God it didn't hit me in that way. I feel sorry for the people that were impacted the most, areas like Tampa Bay area, St. Pete, and then up northward into the bend, if you will, of the state panhandle area of the state. But this is a guy that said with the dock workers strike, hey, listen, we're gonna deploy the National Guard. They're gonna unload the cargo ships. Lo and behold, a couple hours later, all of a sudden they've got a deal going in, and I'm sure the media is spinning it like the Biden-Harris administration. I haven't even looked at the headline to be honest, but I'm sure that's the way that it's going to be spun. But I can tell you what happened that nobody will admit to, and I suspect this is true even within some Republican circles. The reason why a deal was negotiated, in my opinion, is because Governor DeSantis came out and said, you know what? We're not going to let these this thug president, this union leader that drives a Bentley and has a 7,000 square foot mansion, he's not going to impact the lives of Americans, particularly in my state, that are already hurting. We're going to deploy the National Guard. And I suspect that union thug said, oh, crap. If other states start doing this, they might realize that they can bring other people in and automate our industry. And my butt is out of a 7,000 square foot mansion in a Bentley while I'm putting other people out of work. I think DeSantis, whether he knows it or not, whether the media wants to admit it or not, whether the left wants to admit it or not, whether the Republican Party wants to admit it or not, I think he ended the dock worker strike. I really do. That's my opinion. That's bonus. All right, so let's do this. We'll just run through a couple of real quick. I didn't intend to keep you. I didn't want to keep you that long with this particular podcast, but I needed to make sure that I spoke out to it because I've been impacted by a storm, but nothing like this. And I've been through some bad ones, been through some bad hurricanes here in Florida. But from what these people are saying, totally devastated. Let's go to number 11, please, Gabe. This gentleman he does rescue missions. I believe he used to be special operations. He used to fight in the UFC. He may still. I believe his name is Tim Kennedy. Forgive me. But this is a guy that works on rescue missions as well, utilizing his skills as a former special operations infantry guy, if I recall correctly. Forgive me if I'm butchering that. But let's go ahead and roll it. Cut number 11, please, Gabe.
They're present. They're in the way. They are directly
talking about FEMA,
our ability to conduct missions and operations. And I'm not going to disparage anybody because we are trying to work within partner relationships, both government and non-government entities within state and federal and county. I went to put a couple of people into a hotel last night, and they have a security guard at the hotel. And they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. The entire hotel has been booked for federal employees." And I was like, "No, I have people that would just pull it out of a mountain that are living out in the hills, and there's not a place for me to put them because we have federal employees that are staying in the hotel." I slept in this white car last night. I smell like foot and death right now, as does every single person on our team. Not a single one of us slept. We got done maybe at 3 o'clock. The moment the sun was up and we could fly helicopters again, we were back in the air, and we have not stopped. And I was like on the fence about trying to get on this program or not. I want people to understand how incredible this organization is, Save Our Allies, and all the work that all of these volunteers are doing. But people, this is biblical level devastation. This is apocalyptic, the things that we see out there.
Biblical level devastation. Let me play another video clip for you. This is video clip number 1, please, Gabe. Another gentleman tries to describe what he's seeing out in Asheville, North Carolina. Let's roll it.
So I just got out of the water. We're up at the local emergency operations center. They have a Starlink set up, and water rescues are continuous. So the mud is insane here. The amount of bridges that are out, the amount of landlocked, stranded people is unbelievable. There's still plenty of people completely unaccounted for. Keep these these locals in your prayers, because I've been doing this since 2013. I got some guys with me that have done it 30 years, and they've never seen anything like this. It's wild. The pictures and videos are nothing compared to seeing it in person. I don't even know how it's possible that it happened. But the job goes on.
There were pictures of landslides and all this stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have that, I believe. But let's play this video clip. This is video clip number 2. This is a gentleman, Charlie of Aerial Recovery Group, shares how his team rescued an 11-day-old. Let's play that, Gabe. Cut 2, I'm sorry.
We rescued a 11-day-old baby yesterday with a civilian helicopter, with a nonprofit, and with a volunteer from the Florida State Guard, and a pilot who had never landed on the roof of a hospital before. But we got it done. The baby would have died had we not shown up, and made a big difference in that family's life. And then, of course, today, USA Today puts the story out that the North Carolina National Guard executed that operation. So it's like, people are wanting to claim credit and not actually do the work, and it's pretty disgusting to see.
But anyway, this is a gentleman that saved an 11-day-old baby. This is Kamala Harris trying to look like she's in control of the situation. This chick is clueless. I don't like to be nasty when it comes to Kamala Harris. I really don't. But this lady doesn't deserve to be vice president. She didn't deserve to be a senator. This lady worked her way up in ways that are pretty scandalous, quite frankly. But obviously, she had a lot of ambition, too. I won't say that it was just one particular way, but she had a lot of ambition, too. But this lady will do whatever it takes to gain power and authority. Here's her faking the funk in video. And that's why she's hiding. She can't talk about her policies. And it isn't just because I don't think she's the brightest bulb in the bunch, but I also think she doesn't know how to talk about her policies without giving up the ghost, without just blurting it out. The real Kamala Harris we see are the Kamala Harris that we've seen in videos of the past describing her left-wing radical leanings. That's when the real true Kamala Harris comes out. I don't think she even knows how to be a politic on the issue. I don't think she's bright enough to be able to do it. And I think she knows it. She's not smooth enough. But here's her faking the funk video clip number 3.
Madam Vice President.
This is if this lady were to become president, she doesn't feel like she has to answer to you, because that's what she's doing when she's answering to a press. And by the way, a mostly fawning press. She doesn't have to answer to you. Honestly, this is a government of, for, and by the people. Let's play video clip number 5. Downtown Chimney Rock, North Carolina, wiped out by an extreme flash flood. Just to give you an overview of some more devastation. Video clip 5, please, Gabe. Oh, my Lord. Guys, this isn't just one area in North Carolina. Oh, my Lord. Can you imagine how many bodies are probably in that? Look at the road. Look at the road. Oh, my Lord. Lord, have mercy. Guys, if you have to subscribe to the podcast, you need to see this. The Carl Jackson Show. You look at this. Water literally up to the roof of so many houses, flowing through some of the windows. All right, so we'll have to clean up a little of that language, but the road was gone. That's what these people are experiencing. Video clip number 6, and that was a little more perspective.
Restaurants in the water.
What do you, seriously, what do you do? What do you do? FEMA knows what to do. They want to instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. So if they want to instill equity and they believe that you're a colonialist, how does that work? Curious. If they want to lead a whole of community in climate resilience, and if you're people that probably don't buy into the climate change hoax, do they just say, you got what you deserve? How does that work with FEMA that we all pay tax dollars to? Guys, pray, donate. Maybe some of you listen. You don't want to go and get in the way unless you know some specific group you can be a part of to go down and help. That's already organized. But there's some people down there that could use your help. And if you can afford to spare anything, check them out thoroughly. You don't want to necessarily send to some randos. Obviously, because there's evil people out there. They're not monsters. There's just evil people. And they will take advantage of this situation like they would any other situation. Man, I'm going to need a good night's rest. I gotta share. I gotta share something here if I can find it. Yeah. Okay, good. Because we're all going to need that. Listen, we still have to pay the bills here, but hopefully I want to talk about My Pillow. But man, I honestly hope all these people that survive and when they get a good night's rest, I hope that My Pillow can reach out to some of these people. These are fantastic pillows. You get fantastic sleep with them. A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving My Pillow with a ton of extra My Pillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. So here the left is at it again. For the first time ever, you can get a standard classic My Pillow for wholesale prices, just $14.88. That is insane. But it gets better. For a limited time, they're offering their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen size My Pillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to a king for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use My Pillows for just $9.88. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. I don't spell it like the communists, or you can give them a call at 800-858-0263 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever. On top of that, receive shipping on orders over $75. They have never been offered this low before. There are limited quantities at this price, so the limit is 10. And once they're gone, they're gone. Again, go to mypillow.com or give them a call at 800-858-0263 and use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, to get the standard My Pillow for only $14.88. That's the lowest price ever. Guys, when I return, there's a bunch of news that I didn't get to today. I decided to just focus on Hurricane.
All right, welcome back to the program.
There were actually more clips and video we could have shown you, but you get the picture. Help out and donate where you can. Samaritan's Place is a place that I donate to my church. I'm with Assemblies of God. There's Convoy of Hope. There's places like that. If you want a faith aspect as well, there's I think the Southern Baptist as well. But, just make sure you're donating to places that are really going to go out and be there and do and do the work and not just take your money. But I will do a podcast. I wanted to touch on some things. I've decided to touch on some things I was a little leery on. That is the Diddy story, P. Diddy. For those of you that are interested, I'll tell you that I typically stay away from stories like this, even as evil as it sounds. I'm one that I don't like anybody tried in the media or tried in public before they're tried in a courthouse, because I believe that you taint the jury pool, and I believe that you mess up the American system by doing that, even with somebody potentially as evil as P. Diddy, if he is convicted of the crimes that he's been accused of, and obviously there are bombshells with over 100 more people coming out with allegations against him that are very damning. I'm going to talk about that. As far as I know, these aren't criminal cases. These will be civil. And typically I wouldn't talk about those because even though I know there's a lot of grifters and even people that aren't grifters, culture warriors that are really into that. But I, for one, am a firm believer in our judicial system. And I do not believe that anyone should ever be tried in the court of public opinion, even if they're completely evil, because I think it breaks down the system as a whole. I'm going to do it for the Diddy story, and I'll tell you why. The only reason why I'm doing it is because some of the people that are being impacted, allegedly, by Diddy in very violent ways went forward to the cops already. So if they did, there's a record out there. It's the only reason I'm willing to talk about it. Probably to my, I'm sure I could get more clicks like a lot of other people. But there's things that I believe in strongly, and the Constitution is one of them. Our court system, even though it's flawed, even though the left uses it, unfortunately, weaponizing it against the right and not using it at all in many cases in blue cities against their voters. I just have strong feelings on that. But anyway, we'll talk about that. Also, Doug Emhoff. If the allegations are true, the guy, he slept with it. We know this is true. Slept with his nanny, apparently got her pregnant, knocked her up, had an abortion. More news came out that he slapped another woman back in, I think this was 2012, an ex-girlfriend of his that he dated for several months. The report sounds true. All right, we'll have to find out more information. And also, there was breaking news tonight, and again, I'll get to all of these in a podcast, that Garth Brooks allegedly raped his makeup artist. Again, I don't like to try people in the court of public opinion. It's not one of the things that I'm fond of doing. I don't like just being the gossip for clicks. I know some people are really into that, but I feel like I have a larger mission. And one of those is not to destroy the Constitution, but to uplift it, uphold it, and restore it in the United States of America. But I believe there's something about these liberal elite men claiming to embrace this new manhood, as I believe Jen Psaki said. And I want to touch on that. I think it's very important, because these men that are these beta males, I suspect they're not beta males at all. The reason why these guys are pro-choice is because they want to be able to sleep with women and do whatever they want with absolutely no consequences. And they can't believe that women are dumb enough to buy into it. But many women are. Anyway, we'll talk about that and more. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of The Carl Jackson Show. Please share it far and wide. Subscribe wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. All things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.